So the next faction we're going to be going over is Syracuse. Syracuse is almost a copy of Athens, but I'm going to go over them and then I'll show you guys the similarities and differences between them and Athens. So Athens and Syracuse have nearly identical tactics, so there isn't much to say about the faction as a whole. Syracuse is interesting, however, because they are one of the three factions, the other two being Carthage and Epirus, that have access to Samnite warriors, a high armored, mid-tier unit that allows the factions to have Roman-like tactics in their armies. Syracuse also has access to Italian cav, which Epirus does too, which are much better than citizen cav. Although Campanian cav don't get used a lot, a professional player may use them for frontal charges into high-tier melee units, not spears. Syracuse can be beaten by the boii if you match certain units to theirs. Sword followers might take a while to defeat Samnite warriors or veteran hoplites, but the added option to field axes makes killing them a bit faster. Syracuse also struggles when it comes to supporting cavalry engagements effectively. Of course, you could use a hoplite unit to support, but most are heavy or very heavy. Thracian warriors are more effective at killing cav as long as they do not get charged. Of course, both factions do have light hoplites, which are useful on the flanks, but their use frontally against mid-tier units is questionable. To summarize, Syracuse and Athens are almost carbon copies. Syracuse does benefit more overall, but they don't have specialists like Athens does, which are the Thracian warriors or peltasts. If you like Athens, you'll like Syracuse. So, in my opinion, Syracuse beats Colchis, and they possibly beat Cimmeria, but they lose to the boii, just like Macedon. Now, like I said, the rosters are very identical. So what does a typical Syracuse army look like? Basically, you'll have, like the Athenian army, your picked hoplites. However, some people like to bring Samnite warriors instead of thorax swordsmen. You can only bring 3. People bring thorax hoplites sometimes, though I recommend thorax hoplites over thorax swordsmen if you have Samnite warriors already. Etruscan hoplites are very good. They're kind of Spartan-like. Like, if you look at the Spartan hoplites, 65 health, 60 morale. These guys have 65 health, but 60 morale. Melee defense-wise, they're very close. The only reason they cost more is because of the armor and the better weapon damage. Etruscan hoplites are quite useful. They're pretty good on the flanks. They last for a while. Yeah, just overall very good. Missile-wise, you don't have Thracian peltasts. You don't have Rhodians. You don't have Cretan archers, which a lot of people forget when they're playing as Syracuse. So you can rely on Balearic slingers for your skirmishing power. Cavalry-wise, Italian cavalry are preferred over citizen cavalry a lot, so I'd recommend Italian cavalry. Citizen cavalry, however, have more armor, so frontally citizen cav can be used as a meat shield. It's up to you. Campanian cavalry, like I said, can be useful for frontal charges. Just try to avoid spears because they're cost ineffective against spears. Skirmisher cav, Tarentine cav, pretty much the same thing. Now, people usually don't bring Therios hoplites, and I don't blame them. But every now and then I'll try to bring them and save replays. Veteran hoplites are very risky, but I bring them sometimes. Balearic slingers are useful. Usually I bring peltasts because I'm more of a up-close and personal guy, but peltasts are a really bad idea when you're going up against a faction that can actually fight you at range. For example, the nomads. Peltasts lose their effectiveness like that. But yeah, typically the difference between Syracuse and Athens is the melee roster. You could bring, instead of veteran hoplites, Etruscan hoplites and still have a very effective army. You just don't have the armor or melee attack. You do have better melee defense, so it's up to you what you want to do with your army. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Syracuse. So next, I'm gonna jump right into the successors, which are another Hellenic faction. I'm gonna take a quick minute break, and I'll see you guys then.